Hello, my name is Jason Merai and welcome to episode 6 of Bullying, Battered and Bruised. Bullying affects everyone. It's about controlling others through force and fear. At some point in our lives, we will come to the realization that life is not easy. For some of us, the guide to this journey is supported by religion, faith, and spirituality. Such beacons serve as a foundation to the principles we rely on to assist with the challenges we face. To be bullied is to have experienced pain, grief, sorrow, just some of the emotions to describe suffering. But how do we move forward and get to a place where real healing can manifest? It is important to acknowledge what we are going through and to find the power within to speak out and to find support and places we feel safe. No one deserves to suffer in silence. Today's episode explores the theme of religion, culture, and healing. For many, faith is the substance of things hoped for. There are those who are not comfortable with talking with people and turn to a higher power. For others, they turn to role models or find the strength within themselves. Our first expert, Richard Landau, founder of Interfaith Canada, shares his view on the faith communities and how they can work together to combat bullying. Terry, the wandering ninja, shares his experience of healing from being a bully to supporting those who have been bullied. And the Four Colors Drum Circle share their native healing spirit with powerful songs such as Hey Guandonde, the Cherokee Morning Song, and How Can Anyone Ever Tell You? To help with our discussion on religion, culture, and healing, I will be joined in studio by community experts Richard Landau of Interfaith Canada, Terry the Wandering Ninja, and Jamel Williams, a community activist and spoken word artist, and Sedalia Costa of the Four Color Drum Circle. This series was created for one purpose: to have a serious conversation about bullying. What we have hoped to achieve in these past 6 episodes was an exploration of what bullying looks like and the impact it has had on the lives of others. Bullying, Battered and Bruised is a series about stories of survival. The artists and experts featured are living testimonials to what it has meant to be bullied and to overcome. To summarize the experience of this series can be mentioned in one word: courage. And that, my viewers and my friends, is how we end bullying.
The thing about bullying is that we've been led to believe it is simply a part of human nature. Well, I'm here to tell you that's simply not the case. Bullying is actually aberrant behavior. But look at the consequences. They are never good. We have some horrible stories of young people bullied to the point where it is easier to give up their lives than it is to carry on. That is totally unforgivable. Then there is the young person who is bullied to the point where he or she feels justified in taking up arms against others and against the society at large. That is also an unacceptable response. Now, speaking on behalf of Canada's diverse faith communities, I can tell you without a doubt that any attempt to compel or coerce another person or to single them out for ridicule is just not permissible behavior.
The journey through life can lead to many pathways: empowerment, encouragement, healing, and positive experience can change many people over time, and having people in the right place at the right time can also help. The main point is that you're not alone, especially when you're faced with some difficult and challenging times. There are people out there who can help or have been down that deep, dark pathway. Terry, the Wandering Ninja, shares his experience, and the Four Color Drum Circle share their native healing spirit.
Nowadays, they call me the Wandering Ninja, but it wasn't always like that. When I first started out, when I was a kid, a long time ago, I was called wimp, suck, freak, every name that you can think about, I was called. And it was very paralyzing. And the reason why was because I was bullied as a kid. And it started out for me when I was living at home, and my father, who was an alcoholic, was a bully himself. And he bullied me and the family, not just myself, but the whole family, incessantly. And it was very difficult. And what I learned to do through his behavior was take that, and then after being bullied at school for a while, I became the bully. And I started bullying people because I wanted to feel some kind of importance or self-worth or power. And I realized that that wasn't the way to go, because what I was doing was acting out. I was looking at what other people were doing, like my father and other kids, and I was saying, I'm going to do what they're doing, and I'm going to be just like them. And that was the wrong thing, because it brought me, personally, a lot of anguish and a lot of pain. And then I got involved in martial arts. And I have to say, martial arts was one of the best things that I ever did, because it gave me discipline and it gave me hope. And when I say hope, what I mean by that is it showed me that I could be different and I could be better. I looked around at the people who were good role models for me in the school, and I said, that's what I want to be like. That's what I want. How do I get there, though? How do I actually get out of my insecurity? How do I actually leave behind my anger and my frustration? How do I deal with my hurt, which really is the root of everything when you've been bullied? And I don't care what part of life you come from, what nationality you are, what religion you are. There is bullying widespread through all communities, through all nationalities, through all religions. You know, every walk and pace of life, there's some sort of bullying. And I'm sure a lot of you today who are watching this have experienced some. Well, I'm here to tell you that I went from being that bullied kid to being something much better. And I did that because I believed that there was hope in change. And change, for me, was what it was all about. So from martial arts, becoming an instructor, becoming a studio manager, and then becoming an owner and a master instructor in martial arts, to writing a book called Memoirs of a Wandering Ninja. That's where I kind of got my name now, Wandering Ninja. And then opening up a wellness center where I could help people who wanted to come in and deal with their fear, deal with their addictions, deal with what it was that they were looking at substituting for the difficult and challenging feelings that they had inside from whatever experience, whether it was from when you were a kid or later on in life, because bullying just doesn't happen when you're a kid. It happens when you're middle-aged. It also happens when you're elderly as well. So what we need to do is look at, where can we find the hope? The hope starts here. It starts in your mind, and it starts in your heart. And there are resources that are available, but you got to take the step. One teacher said to me a long time ago, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. Well, the resources are there for you. So I hope that you sincerely take advantage of them. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to Bullying, Battered and Bruised. My name is Jason Merai, and we are excited to have our panelists here. I am joined by Richard Landau and Terry Hodgkinson. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And to give our viewers a little bit of info on who you are, Richard Landau is currently an independent TV producer and consultant. For the past 14 years, Richard Landau was an award-winning television host and senior executive producer in charge of Interfaith programming for Canada's CTS TV, where he was responsible for over a dozen regularly scheduled TV series. In 2012, he was invited to make an address at the Canadian Parliament on trends facing the world religions and governing interfaith dialogue over the past 25 years. Terry Hodgkinson's pursuit of excellence began at the age of 12 when he began training in martial arts. He went on to become a martial arts and meditation instructor, eventually owning multiple schools over 15 years. After experiencing the power of the mind through martial arts and meditation, Terry expanded his knowledge and a business experience by opening up and operating a Positive Changes Hypnosis Coaching Center in Etobicoke. Terry is available as a speaker, life coach, as well as a seminar leader. You can visit his website at innerouteryou.com. So today's episode is talking religion, culture, and healing. So I really want to throw my first question to you, Richard. Does bullying happen in religion?
It does, but it's not supposed to occur. In fact, virtually all of the world religions talk about mercy and loving kindness, and their emphasis is, and they promote the other side. They defend the person who's the downtrodden. The person who's the underdog and the downtrodden is upheld by faith. The person who does that oppression is not upheld and is cautioned to change their behavior. So it does happen. People will use their religion. They will say, well, my religion says I can do this. We have cases of men who've oppressed their daughters and their wives and said, oh, but the religion says I can do this. But the religion does not say they can do that. That's their interpretation, and they're basically using their religion as a shield. When you find someone saying, my religion says I can oppress you, they're using their religion as a shield, and the religion will not substantiate that behavior.
And so what does religion teach us about healing?
Well, it says, ideally, the person who perpetrates the crime should help the other person heal, ideally. It doesn't often happen, but ideally that's what should happen. But really, when someone has been treated badly and treated poorly, they need to be shown mercy. Mercy is the key word. They need to be shown kindness and respect. We need to make some allowance for that, especially if, this is modern psychology, and I'll introduce that, but if a person has been abused at a young age, if they've been abused, they need to be shown additional mercy and additional care and concern. I think we all know from the world religions that the key is loving kindness toward the other human being, encouragement, to encourage the other person, uplift them. So the whole notion of someone saying, yeah, well, you don't believe like I believe, so you're like this, that's just not acceptable. The religion would never stand for that, even though people might tell you it does. It does not.
And so, Terry, you spend a lot of time, and rather your work is in dealing with the healing process. But I really like how you identify yourself. They call you the wandering ninja.
Yeah.
And why is that?
I wander a lot. I travel a lot. I've been to a lot of different places, especially in the Far East. And I'm a martial artist. So people started putting the two together and said, oh, you're a wandering ninja. You just keep wandering around, visiting different places, and you're a martial artist. So it kind of went hand in hand. And then I actually wrote a book that had that title in it called Memoirs of a Wandering Ninja, and it stuck.
Okay. And so with your experience of wandering around, a lot of it had to do with growing up, with how your life was directed because of your experiences. And the reason why I'm introducing it as such is often missing in the conversation about addressing the perpetrator, the bullier, is that they've also been bullied. And this is similar to your life story,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah, actually, I was bullied from a very early age. It started with my home life, actually, from my father. I was bullied by my father, who was an alcoholic. And the whole family received mental, emotional bullying, and also physical. And I then became a bully at school. I acted out what I was experiencing at home. And so I was part bully at school, but I was also part bullied at school. And I didn't know what to do, so I followed what I learned through my family. And that energy came out, and I started to do that. And I realized very quickly that when you're a bully, it's no better than when you're bullied. I've had both experiences, and it doesn't feel good either way. You see, bullies think they feel powerful when they're bullying, but the reality is that it's a fake illusion, and it's not true. And when you come to terms with that and you realize that, then healing can start.
Was it difficult for you to address that you were a bully, to acknowledge that?
Yeah, it was, because I never really looked at myself as a bully until people started calling me that. And I thought, no, I'm not a bully. I'm just doing what I know. I mean, this is how we act, isn't it? Isn't this what we do? Because that's what I learned. But when I started to become more conscious of my nature and more conscious of my actions, and I started really looking at myself, and I thought, my God, yeah, I'm a bully. I've got these bullying tendencies, and I need to do something about that. And a lot of that stemmed from my lack of confidence and self-esteem. And so once I took care of the confidence and self-esteem, I realized that I didn't have to be a bully, and I didn't have to be bullied. I could just be me.
So building kind of like self-confidence and self-esteem, a lot of that comes from the tenets within faith and religion. So how do you address or acknowledge those who are using faith to bully others, Richard?
I think You know, that's always going to be with us, or in some measure it will be with us. If people say, my faith is more accurate than your faith, my faith is more correct than your faith, and they take it to the level of, that means I'm better than you are, and you're smaller, and you don't matter. And people will use it even within their own households. We have cases right here in our communities of where fathers have, I alluded to this before, bullied their own daughters because you don't dress appropriately. I think the bottom line is this: the core value of all the faiths, the core value is encouragement. And if you don't like someone's behavior, you're not going to change them through bullying them. If you're going to change someone's behavior or help them modify their behavior, more often than not, you will succeed through encouragement, through love, through support. But you're never going to modify someone's behavior by ridiculing them or treating them badly. Now, what you do is, if you're in a religious community and that sort of thing is taking place, I think you need to go to your leadership. You need to say to your leadership, for example, very often, more often than not, it's women that get bullied. You need to say, wait a second, you need to speak out about this. And there's no reason why somebody can't go to leadership and say, this is taking place in our community. If you know it's taking place, report it to your religious authorities. If they're no good at it, then you need to talk to the civil authorities as well.
But sometimes the fear, the response may be is that you're being disobedient, or you're being unfaithful. And why is such responses like that so traumatic to somebody that's faithful? Well,
the reason being, when you're a person of faith, you're in a community, you belong to a community, and the fear of being shunned or being thrown out of the community, that's terrible. I mean, if you've ever been thrown out of something or an organization, but you know, you have to say to yourself at a certain point in time, it'd be better to be thrown out. This is hard to do. Better to be thrown out than to be part of something that's corrupt. Better to be thrown out than to tacitly support someone hurting someone, beating someone, or bullying them. It's a hard decision to make, and it's hard to step out, isn't it, when you leave your community? But that's really what the person needs to do.
And a big piece of stepping out is finding support.
It is, and you'll find support in the community, I think.
And also, sometimes there isn't support. Sometimes you just have to make that decision to make that leap of faith and say, this is wrong, and I'm not putting up with it anymore, and I need to leave. And then eventually you'll find, if you haven't found it right away, you'll find support along the way as you make that decision. So, and I'm only saying that from experience, because I've had that experience before, where I didn't have the support when I left a community that was very cultish almost, you know, and bullying, and I said, this is wrong. I can't put up with this anymore. I need to leave, and it hurt. I mean, I was really destroyed on the inside, but I had to make that decision to make that change.
That may be one of the most painful decisions you can make in your life.
It was very, very painful.
Step away from family or step away from a community.
Yes. And so we just only have about a few seconds left, but I really want to bring up something that you said, Terry, about, and we're talking about the healing process, that when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Yes.
So how critical then is that, and role models is in that? We only have about 20 seconds. So
Okay, it's very critical, and the reason I say this is because if you're not receptive to healing and you're not receptive to the people who are the role models that can help you, then it's very difficult to get what you need. And to do that, you really need to look at that saying, you know, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear.
Thank you. Stay tuned for more healing on Bullying, Battered, and Bruised.